What is going on, guys? Jason Burke here, Styles Clash for Life, coming at you on YouTube, bald today, and I've got some football focus for you. Covering the Week 9 NFL standings. We are now over halfway done with the NFL season, past the halfway point, and things are really coming into football focus, so to speak. So I figured I took last week off because I had done so many videos for Halloween and all the horror stuff and a lot of football and wrestling stuff. I needed a little break, so I took last week's rankings off. But I do rejoin you guys this week for the Week 9 NFL rankings. I will count backwards from 10, as usual. Got my notes here, or my standings, so to speak. Number 10, the 4-4 Miami Dolphins. This one's controversial. The bottom three spots, 10 through 7, were very hard because the whole middle of the NFL is one big jumble right now. There's a ton of like 4-4, teams like that, average 5-3, 4-4, 3-4 sort of teams. It's very hard to differentiate the bottom of the pack of the top 10. But I've got the Dolphins here because they've won 3 in a row. They were 1-4. They are now 4-4 on the back of Jay Ajayi, the running back, who's had a huge 3 weeks in a row. 2 weeks running, he had 200-plus yard games. Came back this week with another 100-yard game and a touchdown. He's been very strong with their running game. Foster's now gone, so he is the number one guy far and away. Tannehill's not turning it over as much en route to their 3 big wins. They've been putting up a lot of points. Devontae Parker is a good deep threat for them. Kenny Stills has come on. Jordan Landry, or am I saying that right? Landry is one. I'm really out of it right now. Landry is one of the NFL leading receivers as far as receptions goes. He's a good screen guy. You've got plenty of guys on offense. And on defense, the line has become very dominant all of a sudden. They're getting more pressure on the quarterback. They're creating turnovers in the secondary. They're batting balls. They're hitting the QB, getting them out of the pocket and uncomfortable. So the Dolphins are coming around a little bit on defense. Still a long way to go in coverage on defense. They're still lacking a few stars. And the linebackers are very average, but they're getting more pressure, and they're putting up points on offense. And Ajayi is on fire right now. So, number 9, the 5-3 Minnesota Vikings. I didn't want to put them on here. There are many better teams than these guys. The Packers are better, but are not showing it right now with a few losses in a row. I think the Steelers are better. They're not showing it with a few losses in a row. Just several other teams. I even think the Panthers, I think at 3-5 are better. But right now, record-wise, and off to the hot start were the Vikings. They've now lost 3 games in a row. The bloom is off the rose with them. Sam Bradford's turning the ball over a lot more. They're not getting much production out of Asiata and McKinnon anymore. The defense is not doing as well on the back end either. The safeties are still playing well, but the corners aren't playing all that well. The linebackers aren't tackling as well, so they're giving up more points. They're more apt to being vulnerable now. But they're still sitting at 5-3. They're still a danger because the defense is really good. And if Bradford cannot turn the ball over and get it to Stephon Diggs more, they're still a possible wild card kind of an NFC team. So I don't think much of them right now, but they're number 9. Number 8, the 5-3 New York Giants. They've been on a roll lately as well. They've now won 3 games in a row. OBJ, Odell Beckham Jr., is on fire. They're getting production from Shepard. The running game is still sort of meh. They kind of really have no true runners right now, but they're getting a lot out of the passing game, and they're getting turnovers from the cornerbacks. The secondary is playing more physical. They are getting in the passing lanes, batting balls, doing stuff like that. So again, still defense very average, nothing special, but they are creating some turnovers in the back four, and Eli Manning is playing really well right now at quarterback. Still going to give you the interceptions like he always does. But he's doing more right than wrong right now with 3 wins in a row. Number 7, can't read my own writing, the 6-3 Denver Broncos. They lost a big game this week to the Oakland Raiders for control of their division. And another team whose bloom is off the rose. They've lost, I think, 3 out of 4 or 3 out of 5 recently. They've only got 1 win in there in the last several weeks. They're not playing all that well. Trevor Siemian has not been the same since he came back. He's more exposed now. He's turning the ball over a little more now. They're not getting the same production out of Sanders and Thomas and those guys. So they've kind of fallen back a little bit. But again, another case just like with the Vikings. Their defense and their pressure is so good that they can even be off and not put any points up and still be a team to beat. And the AFC is not super deep this year. So even at 6-3 and not being one of the best teams, if they sneak into the playoffs, they can beat pretty much anybody because of their defensive pressure. So At 6-3, they're trending downward, but they're still high enough on this list to be a threat in the AFC. Number 6, the 6-3 Atlanta Falcons. They've won. I think they won just one this week, one in a row. But again, the Falcons is a case of having big offense and not getting big defense. Julio Jones most weeks is just on fire. The weeks that he's not, like this past week, you have Mohamed Sanu who's on fire. They're getting production from Robinson, production from Hardy. Of course, the tandem backs. Freeman has been on fire pretty much all season. They're getting pass catching out of their backs. Pretty good stuff out of the tight end. Austin Hooper's been doing his thing. They're just really. It's hard to find superlatives for them because they can be a team that scores 40 points but gives up 40 points as well. The defense is not very good. But right now with Matt Ryan not turning it over as much, they're playing really good on offense. So they're a team to watch. I still think at 3-5 or 3-6, whatever they are, the Carolina Panthers will win this division. The Saints defense is historically bad. The Buccaneers are lacking a lot of things on both sides. I think the Panthers still come back 2.5 games behind and still win this division. But as of right now, the Falcons, you can't deny their offensive presence on the field. So, top 5. Kansas City Chiefs sitting at 6-2. Don't look now. The Chiefs have won like 3 or 4 in a row. They're getting some statement wins here. Since Pittsburgh beat them, they have been really on fire. Like I said, either 3 games in a row or 4 in a row. They're getting a lot of production. Jamal Charles is back, getting some slight touches. Spencer Ware has become an all-around one of the better, more underrated backs in the league right now from what he's doing out of the backfield. Travis Kelce, of course, when healthy, is one of the best tight ends in the league. You still have Macklin. You've got the new deep threat in Tyreek. Is it Tyreek Hill? Again, I am really struggling with names today. But Hill's a good deep threat. He's been a game breaker with his speed on the outside. He adds a lot to the offense. Albert still gets the screens. And on defense, they're starting to play lights out. Ever since Pittsburgh blew them out, they've come out with a vengeance and been on fire. Don't look now, but that division with Kansas City and Denver and Oakland is the most competitive in the NFL right now in the AFC West. That division is something to watch out for. And 3 teams could be in the playoffs out of that division if the AFC doesn't tighten up a little bit. So this team is one to watch out for. Speaking of the AFC West in a tight race in divisionals, we have the Oakland Raiders at number 4, 7-2. Oakland with a huge statement win this week, beating Denver, who people thought was the superior team. Their defense tightened up when it had to. They've come to call in big games. Oakland now at 7-2 with a win over Denver. I believe they've beaten Kansas City as well. Don't quote me on that, but they've gotten some big divisional wins. And Derek Carr is a front runner for MVP right now. He is playing at an all-time high level. That combination of Cooper and Crabtree is among the best, if not the best, in the NFL right now. The way they're playing currently. That team is something to watch for. Their defense still leaves a lot to be desired. They're not the best defense, but they are one of the top 3 offenses, if not the best right now. They're getting a lot of production. Michael Rivera, Crabtree, Seth Roberts. They're getting a lot of guys involved on offense. They're running the ball well with Latavius Murray, who had 3 touchdowns last week. They're something to watch. They're one of the most fun teams to watch in the NFL. Number 3, Seattle Seahawks, 5-2-1. Controversial putting them ahead of some 2-loss teams and teams with better records. But I think Seattle is one of the teams to beat. I think that, in my opinion, roster-wise and the way they're putting it together now, since the tie against Arizona, is the best team in the NFC. I think they're the class of the NFC. I think they're Super Bowl favorites right now out of the NFC, despite some teams playing better at certain points. But Russell Wilson has come on. He's caught fire lately. Jimmy Graham has been the biggest turnaround player so far this year. I think he had 3 more touchdowns this past week, at least 2, if not 3. Jimmy Graham has been on fire. Like I said, Russell Wilson has caught fire. Christine Michael's playing pretty good out of the backfield. All in all, you really can't beat this team. As far as being both sides of the ball, I've talked about teams with offense and no defense, or vice versa. The Seattle Seahawks are the one team that are the most complete right now. They have both sides of the ball clicking and getting healthy and playing good right now. So they're the most complete team in the NFL at number 3. Number 2, we've got the 7-1 Dallas Cowboys. For the love of all things Jerry Jones, do not bring back in Tony Romo. It's a coach's decision now. Romo looks healthy at this point. But Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott are 1-2 in the Rookie of the Year voting by far. They're both in the delayed kind of late MVP conversation. Not at the top of the MVP conversation, but both guys are playing out of their minds. Ezekiel Elliott's got like 4 straight 100-yard games. Dak Prescott is not turning the ball over. He's got Des Bryant back now, and he's using him. He's been using the tight end Jason Witten a lot. He's got Cole Beasley. He's got Bryce Butler. He's using his weapons to a hilt. The defense is playing the best they've played in a little while. The offensive line, of course, blocking, being the best unit in the NFL for that team, for sure. So Dallas at 7-1 has now won 7 games in a row under Prescott. They've got to keep that roll going. They're playing against my Steelers this week, and I'm a little scared of how that game is going to go, depending on Ben Roethlisberger's health. And finally, number 1, I'm getting sick of talking about them, but the New England Patriots, who I don't personally care for, at 7-1, are still the number 1 team in the league. Aside from the one hiccup without Tom Brady against the Bills a few weeks ago, which they've righted that wrong now. They are 7-1. They have not lost since Tom Brady's been in there. Tom Brady has not had a bad game yet. LeGarrette Blount has been putting together some really good performances back-to-back here. Again, you have Chris Hogan coming alive out of nowhere. You've got the double tight end threat with Gronkowski and Bennett. They've been on fire. You've got Amendola, who's always just one of those game-breaker players that can make big plays. Edelman's going to be leading the league in catches toward the end of the year. They've just got this full-together team. They did trade away a couple of guys recently, which is very interesting. But despite that, I think the Patriots are going to find a way to be the class of the AFC this year and at least make it to the AFC Championship game based on the trajectory right now with Tom Brady being on fire. So 7-1, the Patriots are number 1. What do you guys think? What are your rankings? Who did I leave out? Who did I rank too high? Who did I rank too low? Tell me in the comments down below. This has been your Week 9 Power Rankings, as discombobulated and messed up with names and stats as I have been today, because I am out of it. But tell me in the comments down below what your rankings are. Let's discuss. And I will see you guys this Sunday with my Steelers-Cowboys wrap-up. And then I'll see you guys next week for the Week 10 football-focused Power Rankings. So take care, guys.